Rahim. Thank you, Talha. I need to share the slides if I have the right.
Yes, you do.
Okay. I'll be covering mainly the regulatory disclosure and reporting challenges. But let me start with this ESG. ESG matters have been taking more momentum in the recent years, although the concept has been there for at least over a decade. So I was referring to the ESG matters that have been there at least over a decade, but in the last couple of years it has gained momentum. And when it comes to the corporate reporting part, the real momentum comes where the COP26 ISSB was formed. And since then, as we know, IFRS S1 and S2 have been issued, and those two standards were endorsed by ISCO, and then around the world, all the regulators then started taking more interest, and then those standards were adopted, notified, and the implementation phase has started. So when it comes to Pakistan, what we have seen is that our regulators, both SSCP, State Bank, have been significantly active. Sarrat and Salimullah Saab both have explained their initiative, what they have done. So the way we see it, like this is a very beautifully crafted strategic policies that we bring in not only the voluntary bit, but also the mandatory part. So the initiatives taken by the SCCP, we can go on to the next slide. So the initiatives that the SCCP has taken are in terms of the voluntary bit. That is where they have issued the specific matrices what to report under the environment, social, and governance part. Those specific matrices encourages the listed companies to provide that information. So at the moment, as I said, those are voluntary in nature. The companies have started providing their information for those voluntary matrices. But at the same time, the mandatory implementation, adoption of S1 has also started. Musarraf did mention about the first phase companies has already, their period has started, which is from July 1, 2025, which year end will come on 30th of June 2026. And the first such reporting under those SCCP notification has been to come after 9 months. So the first such reporting we will observe coming out of the mandatory part will be somewhere in between July 2026 to 31st of March 2027. If you can move the slides as well, Talha. Yes. Right. So I've already covered the voluntary part. Moving on to the IFRS S1 and S2, I've explained that the first such reporting will happen somewhere in between July 2026 and March 31, 2027. These two standards, IFRS 1 and S2, they have been mandated under the Companies Act, and not only the preparation of the IFRS S1, S2 reporting, but also their assurance has been required as well. This has also been mandated, but we need to understand, like in the first year of reporting, there is no requirement to have the assurance done. This will come in the second year of adoption. So that means the first reporting, which I explained, will happen somewhere in 26 and 27, but the assurance will come in the next year, and that is already the SSCP has made this communication. So all the companies, they have to make note of not only that they have to prepare their sustainability reporting disclosures reporting, but also then it comes to the assurance part as well. A few important matters that I would like to highlight here is that under the order that SSCP has issued, there are some specific transition measures as well. And what those transition measures are, that in the first year, the requirements coming out of S1 and S2 are only limited to climate-related reporting. So sustainability is a big subject. In the first year of reporting, in the first phase, all the companies which are falling under the phase in the first year, they have to only report on the climate-related matters. And within the climate-related matter, there is a further transition exemption, and that is that Scope 1 emissions, Scope 2 emissions are to be reported, but Scope 3 emissions are not required to be reported in the first year. So for us, for all the companies to really understand that IFRS phased-wise implementation is also giving these transition provisions where they only have to first report the climate-related disclosures. There's some, wherever I go, there's the question that comes in that where we have to report this sustainability-related disclosures. So this has already also been clarified by SSCP that this has to be reported in the annual published report, and this is to be after the director's report. So the placement or the location of the sustainability disclosure will be within the annual report, which is published by the listed companies, and the location will be after the director's report. I have already covered the assurance-related requirement that is to come next year. But here the important thing to note is that the International Auditing and Assurance Standard Board, which really issues the audit and assurance-related standards, they have issued a sustainability-specific assurance standard, ISSA 5000. That is for the auditors to follow, and based on just similar like the international standards on auditing, this sustainability assurance standard will guide them to give and do their assurance work and provide the audit report. This particular standard is yet to be formally adopted in Pakistan, but it is a matter of in the due course of time, this will also be adopted. So for the assurance framework, it is not going to be the international standards on auditing, but it is going to be the international standard on sustainability assurance. Next slide. So what does IFRS 1 contains and what is IFRS 2? So as I'm covering a bit of technical as well as a journal overview, so here I'll just touch upon a bit of technical, that IFRS 1 is for a common understanding for those who understand the financial statements. They can understand there's a standard called IAS 1. So IFRS S1 is equivalent to the IAS 1, where all the presentation related matters are discussed, and the language and many of the requirements are very, very similar to the IS1 requirements. So the materiality definition is the same. There are other aspects, what should be fairly reported. So it's very, very similar to those who would read it. They would understand that the language and the way it has been structured is very similar. IFRS S2 is specific to climate. All the requirements which are assembled with climate-related disclosures, and as I mentioned, that those in the first year, it is only going to be the climate. So please have the focus remain, at least for the first year, on the S2. For what is material, what is to be disclosed, I think this is a very important aspect. I would like to explain this in a manner where for you to start where you can very easily take the grasp of from where to start, because S1, S2, as you know, these are standards, a bit of complicated as well. When you go through it, there's a host of many requirements. We can move on to the next slide. So when we go into these two standards, S1 and S2 both clearly explains that there are 4 content areas where everything has to be disclosed within these 4 matters. One is the governance, strategy, risk management, metrics, and targets. So all your disclosures in terms of S1 and S2 will fall within these 4 content areas. Next slide. So as I said, that the very easy way from where to start and for understanding is that the sustainability disclosure requirements are grouped in terms of the industry. So you have to go to your industry, and for that very industry in which your company or entity falls, you have very specific disclosures given under the SASB standards. SASB standards are separate standards. There are 77 industries, and within those 77 industries, all the entities in Pakistan will fall under at least one of those industry listings. So you need to access that industry within the SASB, and for the climate related, you have the separate within S2. There's a separate appendix where the industry-based guidance is given, risks and opportunities are given. So for you to start, my recommendation is that you go to the standards which is specific to your industry, and then within that industry, if you are disclosing the climate bit, you select from there your industry, and you will have the specific disclosure requirements that have to be provided in the sustainability reporting. Next. This, when you will go and access those standards, in the interest of time, I am not going more into detail, but you can see the headings: industry description, disclosure topics, metrics, and technical protocols. All are given in those industry-specific standard that I mentioned, both in terms of the S2 as well as the SASB standards. Next slide. So this I have already explained, that there are 77 standards in the IFRS 2 also. The specific sectors have been given, and you can make reference from there. Next slide. Now I will briefly cover what could be the challenges, and this is based on our interaction with the industry as well as the professionals. And one first thing that comes out is the availability of the data and its quality. So I think all of you who are listening to this discussion, you will find also the same challenge, that in order to provide information and comply with the requirements of IFRS S1 and S2, you need to have data which is reliable and which is verifiable as well. So we clearly see the availability of data and its quality to be a challenge. Next slide. I think this has also just been discussed in the last panel discussion, that the level of expertise that is available within the company and in the market is also a challenge. So in order to implement these technical standards, clearly a deep understanding of these standards and the concepts around sustainability. And within these standards, if you go, there are many other protocols that have been referred to. So to have that understanding, we really require some expert level technical knowledge. So that is another challenge that is being observed. Next slide. So just like for the financial statements, what happens is that you have information right from the document where the transaction gets carried out, and then it gets ultimately reported through an ERP system into the financial statement. So here, same, how all of this information which is related to sustainability is linked and captured and then integrated into systems where you can, at the end of the day, have all the required information where you give a reporting which is in compliance with S1 and S2. So we feel this is again a very, very big challenge to bring everything into the existing systems. Next. So a very quick and short approach where all these challenges and what I have just covered, how this can be addressed and what would be an approach where we can handle this task of reporting. So the first thing is that if you within the organization is able to establish a task force, and this task force should be like multi-departmental, where many departments are involved and they have their own understanding of the whole entity, and they will be able to implement this across the entity. So a task force, a dedicated task force to work towards achieving the disclosure requirements is something that is recommended. Next slide. The next step would be that this task force, either you set up a task force in some other manner, those who are dealing with it, they should have a gap analysis. So what you have, what informations are already being produced, though not in a form which comply with S1 and S2, but somehow the information is available within the entity. But there could be information which is not available within the entity. So you need to have a gap analysis done where the issues are, where you have to collect data, where you have to have more discussion about the understanding. So a gap analysis is something that should be the next step. Next. As I said, this requires technical expertise, so building capacity within the entity, and on an overall basis, I think Musarrat also mentioned that a number of organizations are involved in it, where we need to build capacity. So on a industry basis, on a market basis, this will be done by the regulators and other organizations like ICAP, which is involved in it. But within the entity, again, this is something that the entities have to develop processes where you can have a proper capacity built in order to come up with proper sustainability reported related reporting. So next. You also need to, as I said, there's a data spread in the whole value chain, not only within the company. In sustainability reporting, you need to capture many of the data coming outside the entity. So you need to develop a strategy with regard to how the data is to be collected. So these are the four steps or an approach which companies and entities can take note of it. From the institute standpoint, what has been done is that there is already a publication, because I explained that the first reporting relates to climate. So there is a guidance published that can be accessed from the website where the emission reporting and how to calculate emission or the accounting for the emissions have been provided. This is in the form of a question and answers, FAQs, and it will give a complete understanding for any entity how to make this reporting happen in terms of the calculation of emissions. The other thing is that in that respect, ICAP has made available through ISSB the e-learns that are issued, and people can sit from their home and wherever they are at their comfort, they can have their e-learns done. This is free of cost. You can just need to get registered and you can do your initial learning of S1 and S2. The other thing that has been done is that a complete disclosure checklist has been issued. This is also available on the website of ICAP, which will provide you a completeness that you have done your sustainability reporting, and all those disclosures are in line with what is required. So you can use that disclosure checklist. Lastly, the way those SASB standards and industry-based standards to be applied, how to start, what are the steps to be taken to capture the information. That publication is also done and is available on the website. So in terms of the capacity building, all this data and resources are available. I encourage you all to make reference to these resources, and you will find these very useful. I'm very hopeful that in this manner you will have a roadmap or a clear guideline how to come up with your first reporting. So that's about it, Talha. Thank you very much. Over to you again.